Imagine you are the most feared predator in the ocean. You have been that way for millions of years. 5 rows of serrated teeth, a bite that crushes bone. Senses so sharp you can detect a single drop of blood dissolved in 100 liters of water. Every animal in the sea either runs from you or tries to avoid drawing your attention. Now imagine something finds you first. Something that weighs 30 times what you do. Something whose voice is louder than any sound ever produced by any living creature on Earth. Something that hunts in coordinated family units and whose ancestors spent 10 million years eating sharks for a living. That is what happens when a great white shark crosses paths with a sperm whale. And what happens next is not a fight. The shark leaves. This is the story of why. The great white sharks are extraordinary by almost any biological standard. Adult females average between 4.6 and 4.9 meters and push well past 1,000 kilograms. The largest verified specimens reach 6 meters and 2.5 tons. They are partially warm-blooded, which is why they can hunt in freezing water off South Africa and California alike. Their sensory arsenal is the real reason they earned the title of apex predator. The ampullae of Lorenzini, a network of electroreceptive pores across the snout, detect electric fields as weak as 5 nanovolts per centimeter. Every living animal produces an electric field just by moving its muscles. To a great white, a wounded fish does not just smell different, it glows. Their olfactory bulbs account for roughly 14% of brain mass, and certain amino acids can be detected at concentrations of 1 part in 10 billion. Their bite force has been modeled at approximately 18,000 newtons. They cycle through up to 35,000 teeth in a lifetime. At Seal Island in South Africa's False Bay, they launch themselves 3 meters clear of the surface to catch Cape Fur seals mid-air, building speed from the darkness below at 40 kilometers per hour. All of this, and the shark still leaves when something else shows up. Sperm whales are the largest toothed animals that have ever existed. That sentence includes every animal in the fossil record, living or extinct. Adult males average 16 meters and 45 tons. Historical records before industrial whaling documented animals approaching 20 meters. A large bull is 3 times heavier than a large female, more than 30 times heavier than a large great white shark. The head alone accounts for 1/3 of the body length. Tucked inside is the largest brain ever evolved, averaging 7.8 kilograms, roughly 5 times the mass of a human brain, packed with the same spindle neurons associated with complex social cognition in great apes and elephants. Their teeth are stranger than you might expect. Only the lower jaw erupts them. 18 to 26 pairs of conical ivory spikes up to 20 centimeters long and roughly 1 kilogram each. Yet sperm whales are suction feeders. They create a vacuum and swallow squid whole. Adults found with no teeth are in perfect health. The teeth, most biologists now believe, are used primarily for male combat and occasionally for something more dramatic. In November 1820, a sperm whale struck the Nantucket whale ship Essex twice, sinking it in the middle of the Pacific. The crew drifted for 95 days. The event inspired Moby Dick. In 1851, the Anne Alexander was rammed and sunk in almost identical circumstances. A 2016 biomechanical study formally modeled the spermaceti organ, the enormous oil-filled structure in the forehead, as an engineered shock absorber, supporting the idea that the bull's head is literally designed to be used as a battering ram. A sperm whale sank a vessel displacing over 200 tons. A great white weighs 1.5. Now the sound. In 2003, bioacoustician Bertel Muhl and colleagues recorded sperm whale clicks off Norway at source levels reaching 236 decibels, the loudest sound ever produced by any living animal, recognized by Guinness World Records. Get one correction that most documentaries skip. Underwater decibels and airborne decibels are not the same unit. The reference pressures differ, and when you apply the full correction, the equivalent airborne intensity is closer to 170 decibels, still louder than a gunshot, still above the tissue damage threshold, but not louder than a rocket launch. That claim does not survive the unit conversion. What is unambiguous is how the sound is produced. Air is forced through a single pair of structures called the phonic lips just below the blowhole. The pulse shoots backward through the spermaceti organ, reflects off an air-filled frontal sac acting as an acoustic mirror, then passes forward through a stack of oil-filled compartments called the junk, which focus and amplify it into a directed beam. Every whale's click encodes the length of its own skull in the pulse interval. Researchers identify individuals by voice the way we identify people by fingerprint. Dives typically reach 600 to 1,200 meters, sometimes exceeding 2,250 meters, lasting 45 to 90 minutes. During foraging, clicks accelerate into a rapid buzz at the terminal approach to prey. Social clicks, called codas, are culturally learned patterns transmitted from mothers to calves. A 2022 paper in PNAS identified at least 7 Pacific Clan dialects, each encompassing tens of thousands of animals with stable, distinct acoustic cultures. This is not instinct. This is learned behavior transmitted across generations. Here is where the story requires honesty. While the popular claim that sperm whales stun prey with sound is not internet folklore. It came from a real 1983 paper by Kenneth Norris and Bertel Moule. They proposed that the intensity of sperm whale clicks at close range might physically debilitate squid. The idea was elegant. The experiments killed it. In 2006, researchers exposed fish to playback of odontocetes clicks at maximum source levels. No response. A 2016 tag study then revealed that during the terminal approach to prey, sperm whales actually reduce their click output by 20 to 40 decibels, 1 to 2 orders of magnitude quieter, while simultaneously chasing the target at speed. If sound were stunning the prey, you would increase output at close range, and the prey would go still. The opposite happens. It Peter Tyack of Woods Hole. Oceanographic Institution summed it up simply. A beautiful idea, killed by data. So sperm whales do not stun prey with sound. That is the honest answer. But what remains is still significant. Sound travels 1,500 meters per second in seawater, 4 times faster than in air, and loses far less energy over distance. A sperm whale pod clicking at 30-second intervals is detectable across kilometers of open ocean. A great white's hearing is tuned to the 10 to 800 Hz range, precisely the frequencies at which large animals and low-frequency disturbances propagate in water. Long before a sperm whale is visible, it is audible. Long before it is a threat, it has already announced itself as something enormous. You do not need to be stunned to leave. You just need to hear it coming. But if a shark were somehow indifferent to all of that, it would still face the sperm whale's most decisive advantage: each other. Sperm whale society is built around stable matrilineal units of roughly 10 to 12 related females and their calves, remaining together for decades. Females nurse each other's young. When a threat approaches, the pod forms what biologists call the marguerite, a rosette with heads inward and tail flukes pointing outward toward the attacker, calves sheltered in the center. The 2001 Marine Mammal Science paper by Robert Pittman and colleagues described a 4-hour attack by approximately 35 orcas on 9 sperm whales off California. So the pod held the formation the entire time. Only 1 whale was killed. When orcas pulled an individual from the group, the other whales broke ranks to flank the isolated animal and guide it back, exposing themselves in the process. A great white is a solitary animal. It has no formation, no coordinated signals, no culture of mutual defense. It encounters a pod of sperm whales the way a single person encounters a trained unit. Now the direct evidence, and the honest version, matters here. There is no peer-reviewed study of great whites fleeing living sperm whales. That specific observation has not been documented and published. What has been documented is the orca analog, and it is decisive. In 2019, Salvador Jorgensen and colleagues at the Monterey Bay Aquarium analyzed 27 years of data and 165 tagged great whites at the Farallon Islands. In every documented orca encounter, every tagged great white fled within minutes and did not return for up to a year. Their seal predation dropped from roughly 40 kills per season to 0. Off South Africa, 2 male orcas, known as Port and Starboard, have transformed the entire great white population of the Western Cape since 2015, killing at least 7 sharks per documented year and driving the species from False Bay so completely that researchers who had tracked individual sharks for years lost their study populations. A 2024 paper documented Starboard killing a 2.5-meter great white solo in under 2 minutes. Here is the comparison that closes the argument. Each of those male orcas weighs approximately 5 to 7 tons. An adult male sperm whale weighs 45 tons, 6 to 9 times more. A sperm whale has larger teeth, a larger brain, cooperative pods, and the loudest biological sound on record. If great whites consistently abandon entire coastlines after encounters with animals 1/6 to 1/9 the mass of a sperm whale, the behavioral extrapolation is not speculation. It is arithmetic. And then there is the fossil record. 9 million years ago, the sperm whale lineage was not eating squid. In 2010, Olivier Lambert and colleagues published a paper in Nature describing Livyatan melvilli, a Miocene sperm whale reaching 13 to 17 meters with functional teeth up to 36 centimeters long in both jaws, the largest biting teeth of any animal ever described. Livyatan hunted other whales, seals, dolphins, and sharks. It shared the Miocene Ocean with Ototus megalodon and outlasted it. The ancestors of modern great whites evolved in an ocean where certain whales ate them. That history does not disappear when the Pliocene arrives and Livyatan goes extinct. It gets encoded. One correction worth making while we are here. Great white sharks did not evolve from megalodons. The current paleontological consensus, based on fossil work by Dana Arrett and others, is that Carcharodon carcharias descends from a Mako lineage entirely separate from Ototus. They coexisted briefly. One did not become the other. The real answer to this question is layered. There is no footage of a great white fleeing a living sperm whale pod. What there is, a documented behavioral pattern of great white avoidance toward large cetaceans, the most extreme acoustic presence of any animal alive, cooperative defense systems that outclass anything a solitary predator can meet, a mass ratio of 30 to 1, and 10 million years of evolutionary history in which the sperm whale family occupied the role of apex marine predator, while the shark lineage occupied the role of prey. The great white shark is one of the most capable predators vertebrate evolution has ever produced. It has survived 5 mass extinction events. It detects heartbeats through seawater from hundreds of meters away. It breaches to catch seals like a missile and navigates ocean basins alone. It also swims away when something announces itself from 2 kilometers out with a 230 decibel click. Not because it is weak, because it has been 400 million years in the making. And it did not get this far by picking the wrong fight.